Welcome to Next Lit Chat. I'm EJ Wesley. This is a weekly discussion of all things in adult coming of age fiction. And what we talk about when adult coming of age is things like upper YA, new adult, genre fiction, adult genre fiction like sci-fi and fantasy, things like that. Basically anything that have these themes of like 18 to 20-plus-year-olds sort of stepping out of from underneath their parents' wings for the first time and sort of taking life a day at a time without the safety nets of being a teen. So that's what we're all about. This week's topic is the best of 2015. We're going to share, us and the guests, our favorite things, from books to movies to music. We've already had lengthy discussions off air about this, so it's going to be fun. I want to introduce our first guest, Becca Syme. She's been on with us before. Becca is an author. How are you, Becca?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So, first of all, I want you to share. I've asked Twitter for their good news. Share your good news that you shared with me often.
Oh, yeah. Last week, or almost 2 weeks ago now, Thursday, I hit the USA Today list. And it was Thanksgiving Day that we got the list. And it just was crazy. It was nuts to be like watching the Macy's parade and, surreal sort of to be like, yeah, I sold 100 and more. I sold more books than everybody in the country except 138 people. Like it was just weird. But it was a great day.
That's a pretty good Thanksgiving feeling.
Yes.
We were very thankful. Congratulations.
Hell, I'd take it on a Tuesday in March. I don't give a shit. Like
that was actually a really hard week too, if I remember Chatter correctly.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was hard, but it was. Yeah.
Like for people who don't know, like the USA Today list is awesome, but some weeks you have to sell almost twice as many books as you do other weeks, just depending on the releases and who you're competitive with and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can't. I mean, you can try to predict that, but yeah. You can try to game it, so that you don't drop when, like, Colleen Hoover does.
I know.
You didn't.
I just randomly picked it.
Extra awesome.
So what was the first thing you did when you got the news?
It was weird because it was my dad's birthday. So I immediately called my parents. I was like, tell Dad I say happy birthday. And by the way, I hit the USA Today list. So happy birthday, Dad, and me. I don't know. Like, it was so surreal because then I had to go right back to work and start working, because I don't take a day off, really. Like, I was working while I was watching the Macy's parade and then, tweeting my friends and talking to my parents about this, and then I started working. It was just weird.
It doesn't. I think that fails to get noticed for writers and authors is that you really don't stop working. Like most authors I know, they work pretty much every day of the year. And for one thing, I think we struggle so much to discipline ourselves, like to train ourselves to write every day. You become sort of like a runner. Like you don't take breaks from it because it's going to be painful. Like if you do, like so, you just kind of condition yourself to keep doing it, and then I think we all probably have a little fear too of like losing our mojo or whatever it is that keeps us like the stories flowing or whatnot. But that's super cool. Well, congratulations. Let's go to our next guest, Poppy Simeri. Did I say that right? Simeri.
It's phonetic. It's Simeri.
Simeri. All right. Poppy. I've known Poppy a long time. So Poppy, this is a pen name for Poppy.
Yeah.
She used to be Bailey from long ago New Adult Alley. I'm very crazy happy to have Poppy on because
I'm so excited to be on air.
she helped start this damn thing like 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was her and I. We were the people that sort of brainchilded this with NA Alley, and it's because she was with NA Alley at the time, and so it's just. Like it's kind of like a full circle thing for me. Like it's surreal having you on air right now. I'm like,
I know it feels very like I don't know that I could have predicted that this is where I would be like 3.5 years later. I still remember when you direct messaged me on Twitter when I was part of NA Alley, and I don't know that you officially were yet.
No, I wasn't actually. I wasn't for a while. Wasn't for a while. So.
And you said, "What we should do a chat, or you guys should do a chat." And I was like, "Yeah, why don't you help that?"
Right.
And yeah, we kind of just spearheaded this, and now here we are so many years later. So that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I totally didn't think this would still exist. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie. I'm not
I
gonna bullshit and be like,
know.
oh, I knew we'd be chatting 3 years
I
from now.
mean, and
Because like,
I've sort of come and gone because
yeah,
I mean, I left NA Alley to go get my master's degree, and then was like, I have no other life outside of getting a master's degree. So I stepped down then, and then I mean, I've kind of joined in chats on Twitter as I've been able to. So it's kind of nice to be back and on air and doing more now that I have like free time.
we'll share with the listeners that might not be familiar with you. Like, so what are your writing and like reading interests? Like, what do you focus on? I know back in the day, obviously, we were all kind of like into new adult, whatever we
Yeah.
thought that was at the time. But like, now, are you working on anything now, or?
Yeah, I am working on something now. I actually won, I say that in air quotes, NaNoWriMo in November, so that was exciting.
Hot
Uh,
damn!
yeah. So I wrote 50,000 words of a new novel that I started. So I'm still writing that. It's not like it's done. It's not a 50,000 word novel, let's be real. But so I'm still writing that, but I'm pretty excited about that project actually, and it's probably the first creative project I've done since I sort of got my master's and started my career, and I've just been spending the year kind of getting back into being a creative writer. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately.
And that's a tough like. I mean, I think that's part of this process. Like, if writing is not your job, your main
Well,
job,
that it is actually. That's kind of the harder part. Is I'm a technical writer by day, so
so
I spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day editing things and writing content for software, and so writing beyond that is actually exhausting.
right. Well, and so we have lots to talk about as well because I've worked as a grant writer for a while, and
Yeah.
that's actually, oddly enough, that's when I started writing fiction, was while I was working as a grant writer. And I don't know if it just like trains your brain, like you just starve to write something creative at the end of that, like when you're just like writing mundane, like nuts and
Yeah.
bolts stuff constantly. But there's something to that. There is something to it, and it's actually why I took that job. I didn't know anything about grant writing, but was able to talk my way into the job because I love to write. Like I was good at writing and academically, and so but I wanted to do. I was like, if I'm gonna have to work a 9 to 5, then I want to work at something that is eventually going to lead to what I want to do full time. Like, and that's right. Period.
Yeah.
Just writer.
Exactly.
And so that's cool. Last but not least, certainly, is Amy Evans is on here with us tonight. Hi, Amy.
Hey guys, how are you?
So what is up with Amy? So obviously everybody in our audience probably knows who Amy is. Amy's a longtime lit chat person. She's usually hosting this damn thing, and I'm doing it tonight. So
EJ thought I would be too distracted by the conversation.
I totally did, because she's like, you want me to host? And I'm like, when One Direction starts, there's going to need to be somebody to ring the bell and be like, next round.
Next topic.
And I knew that wouldn't be you. I knew you could not be that person. So.
That's awesome. No, I'm so excited to be here. I love doing year-end wrap-ups, and I think that this has been a really cool year for media and crossovers and entertainment, and yeah, and it's been a big year personally, and I got to meet EJ in person, so that was a highlight.
That was totally a highlight for me. I'll be honest. We all, a bunch of us that know each other, attended this conference in Nashville called Utopia Con, and yeah, it was nuts. Like I met, authors and writers that I've been friends with literally for longer than most of my real life friends. Like PK Rezo, I've known for 10 plus years, and we just started out blogging together way back when, and so that's crazy. Like that's so much fun. Like when you're online, because this can all seem a little fake at times. I think like this all like it doesn't seem real. Not fake, but just not real. Like it doesn't seem tangible at times.
Well,
But
it seems both. Like in
right.
some ways, like I moved this year, and so that was a big year personally for me. And when it came down to decision making, like I had amazing friends where I was, and I'm only a half an hour away. But as you all know, like in grown up life, like that's a big, it's a big investment in time to try to carve out social time like that. And part of the reason I think I was able to move was because I am so attached to my online friends, and even though it does seem a little fake sometimes, those relationships are real, and those people
Right.
are there for you. And then when you get to meet them in real life, it's like a double whammy of awesome.
It's crazy because like all of you were pretty well like I imagined you. Like now you and I like hung out a lot because like we produce this thing most weeks, and so Amy and I will chat throughout the week about whatever, and so we kind of had a lot of communication back and forth. Like we had talked in person, like kind of live a little bit, but some of the people who I'd never really talked to before, like they're just exactly like who I thought they'd be, which is cool, beyond
It
cool.
is cool.
Well,
It's
before we jump,
exciting.
it's totally great. Before I jump into the topic tonight, I wanted to get to some of Twitter's good news. Of the Wild says she said she might be going to another convention to hang with readers and stuff in January. That's news if it works out. I think Of the Wilds, if I'm not mistaken, went to her first conferences in 2015. Am I crazy? I think we had this conversation.
I think it was a special conference.
But yeah, so that's awesome news. And honestly, that's on my agenda too. I want to do Utopia and probably something else. Catgirl says, I also won Nano this month, or NaNoWriMo this year, with a new book that will be releasing November of 2016. I love that. Like, I love that she finished this project and already has like a goal for next November. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, she's bringing this bad boy out in the world. That's cool.
Especially that she's waiting. Like, I love that she's finished it and then is going to take time and work on it and edit it and perfect it and then release it. Like,
Yeah.
I love that Nano participants are like, this is, yes, I wrote a draft in November and now I'm going to work on it. I
Right.
love that idea.
Well, and for most genres, I think 50,000 words is not a novel
It's not a
necessarily.
whole novel, yeah.
Especially again, it depends a little bit on the genre and what you're writing, but so yeah, I mean that gives you time to flesh it out and gives you time to put a plan together to get that sucker out. Row_the_the author says, and she's they're listening on YouTube as well. Best of 2015 is keeping up writing full time as a freelance writer and making money doing what I love. Self-employment forever! Exclamation mark. That is amazing news.
That's awesome.
Like, that's sort of my dream because I think that's the most common thing I hear and see on social media from other writers and authors. They want to do this full time. Like, this is what they love doing, and they're all kind of working towards that goal. And so I get really excited when people are able to sort of make that happen. And that's why the internet is just badass. Let's just be honest. Like, it allows so many of us to to pursue these things. So. Kat's other good news, she says, is that my trilogy box set is releasing worldwide over the next 3 days. That's crazy, Kat. I didn't know that. So Kat's one of our helpers as well, and she's in Twitter anchoring that business tonight. All right. So let's get to the goodness that is tonight. We're talking best of 2015. Let's start
We got a
with
drum roll sound effect.
I know. We need like some sort of like fireworks. Let's go through everybody right now. Let's start with Amy. Let's start with you because I'm looking at you and you're on the left. What's the best thing you've read this year?
Oh, the best thing I read this year, I would say, well, the best thing I read this year was actually fan fiction, and it got picked up by Dream Spinner. So I don't know what the official title is going to be when it comes out. But that was one of my favorite books of the year. But I also really liked Blind Faith by N.R. Walker. That was pretty high on my list of things that I've read. And let's see, what else? There was something else that I've read that I really liked recently that I wanted to
So
mention.
where did you find this fanfic? Like, was it on a site or what was it?
Yeah, it's on AO3.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's there anymore. I'll text you offline.
Okay.
Yeah. I just went through your Tumblr, so I think I'm pretty sure where you dropped in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Becca, what about you? Best thing you've read this year?
Best thing I've read this year easily was the novella in between the two final books of the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Myers. She writes the fairy tale set in space for YA, which is, I swear, is my favorite series, maybe of all time, young adult. I just love it. I cannot get enough of this series. And she released a novella in February in the middle of the series that is about the villain, essentially, and it's like the backstory of how the villain got to be how she is, and it was not super long, but especially for a novella, I swear it's like the best thing that I've read. I've gone back and read it twice. I love it, and it's kind of on the cusp of YA and NA a little bit, especially that book, but it was fantastic.
Is this a good time to tell you that I have a signed copy of the first one because she was at Utopia? It was
Oh
awesome.
my God.
She was great.
I love I love those books. They're so good. Cinder, yeah, I just love them.
It's like right at the top of my. I mean, my goal in well, the kids are on break is to read like all these books that I haven't. Like I read a lot of stuff that's lighthearted, but there's so many books like that's on my list. Stuff that I won't read when I'm writing, like fantasy,
Yeah.
YA, whatever, because you don't. It's. I mean, nothing I'm doing is anything close to that, but it's still like you need a different headspace. I find.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always either reading something completely separate or nonfiction, but my daughter is obsessed with The Unwanteds at the moment, and I'm dying to read that. Like there's so much stuff that I feel like I don't read when I'm writing that I'm going to take a break for a couple weeks and just gobble up books.
Definitely read that.
It is
just
right
awesome.
at the top of my pile.
Well, I feel like we have the bait now to get Becca to Utopia, so we'll have that discussion at some point.
I actually won a free registration to Utopia 2016.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
And so it's hard to get to Nashville because I live in Montana, and so I'm like, well, how am I going to make this work? But that's one of my goals is to get to Utopia this year.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's totally fun. Poppy, what about you? Best thing you've read this year?
Best thing I read this year was The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce her last name because I'm a terrible person.
I don't know. That makes you a bad person. You're just like me. You grew up on phonics.
I know. I can spell it. Does that help?
Right. What kind of story is it? Fantasy, sci-fi? Sounds like sort of like dystopian-ish something.
Kinda. It's set in kind of it's set in a fictional place, but that's theoretically India. So it's good. I recommend it to everybody.
So, best thing I've read this year was Red Rising. And I don't think it was published this year. I think it was actually published. I was trying to find out actually. 2014 is actually when it was published. I'm just getting to it because that's how.
I love that book.
It's amazing. It's by Pierce Brown. It's very violent. It's kind of this weird hybrid cross thing of like Hunger Games, like a little bit of Harry Potter class system like going on. There is some Star Wars elements to it because it's kind of a dystopian sci-fi. There's some fantasy stuff because like they kind of tie into like I said, there's a lot of classism in it and stuff like that. It's a beautiful book. It will be made into a movie. I'm convinced of that. I don't know how the hell they're going to market it because like I'm seeing this book pop up on some YA stuff and I'm like, this is not a YA book. Like this is
no, but it feels YA from the beginning because the character is young.
Right.
Even though he's clearly an adult. I mean, clearly from the first chapter is an adult.
This book is like the, complete package of what we talk about when we start talking adult coming of age stories. Because again, this is more fantasy sci-fi and it's like Ender's Game. Like Ender's Game is not like a middle school book because the character's 10 or whatever. Like that is a very adult book with very adult themes and whatever. And this kid's like leaving home, leaves his parents behind. That's definitely adult coming of age types of fiction.
That's like that's like The Book Thief, like it was
right.
It's like YA but not or I mean The Hunger Games was like that for me. I mean, that was one of the first books that I mentally categorized as new adult simply because we're not talking about like cafeteria politics. This is not a girl in high school. This is a person with like huge real life problems, and in spite of her age, like the problems aren't lessened.
Right. Yeah.
It looks like this might be the same kind of thing. I'm looking at
the yes.
It's very like there are definitely themes of that, and like I said, I see the description on Amazon like they've got it categorized under like sci-fi, dystopian. It's all those things.
Yeah.
Like,
but he has one of the best male protag voices maybe, I mean, it's sort of like when Wool came out and I read Wool and I was like, this guy can write guys. Like I have never seen, I mean, just, it was, I love the voice in that book so much. It kills me.
So I just ordered it. Like I'm gonna have time to read this.
Well, I will warn you strongly. Like once you start reading it, you will not be able to stop. Like you will
You
finish
can't
that.
stop.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. And you
Can't stop,
immediately,
won't stop.
it's not necessarily a cliffhanger at the end of the first one, but like it's enough of a like holy like a shit bomb drops. It's like you're just like I gotta read the next one. Like this is happening.
Yes.
Which
Thankfully
it's
it's
harder for
out
me because like I
now.
try. That's one thing I try to not do because again my TBR is so big that I just don't want to like just devour trilogy after trilogy because then you spend all your time just in one author's world kind of thing. But this is one of those ones I was just like I couldn't help it. Like I had to go read the next one right away.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I definitely do, but my flip side to that is I read a lot of first chapters. Not like I just get the samples, like I'll buy the books, but a lot of stuff I'm reading for like research, and I might like it, but that doesn't mean I want to spend the time with it, or I might want to hear like an author's voice, but that doesn't always mean I will finish it. So I feel like that kind of balances out that when I do get really into something and want to read all 3 or 10 or whatever, I kind of let myself go.
Right. Kat says on Twitter, I asked Twitter what their favorite reads of 2015 were. She said the best manga comics that she read in 2015 was the first half of the Hot Gimmick series. And Kat, tell us like, are there genres within manga? I'm sure there are, but like I don't know them. I don't read enough of it. I don't know what the genres are. So I'm just curious to know what it is. Ro, the author, says she loved reading Talon and Rogue by Julie
By
Kagawa.
Julie Kagawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were really good.
She like,
And the Sabbath to Hear books, The Ember and the Ashes, also came out this year. So good.
She said she liked that they used dragons, and
really
also
good.
The Legacy Human by Susan K. Quinn. We're big fans of Susan on this show. Susan has been a guest before on the show. Susan's like one of the most like giving and like sharing of her like knowledge, and it's pretty vast. She's been doing the indie thing for a while. Knowledge of anybody I've ever met. So I love to hear that people are reading and enjoying her books. She says, Kat says that she has Susan's Quinn series sitting on her Kindle waiting to be read. I actually have a couple of Susan's books too, but I wanted to run over real fast this list I found. It's Amazon's, it's their best-selling books of 2015, and see if any of you have read any of these. This is the point of the evening where we all sound like we've never read a thing in our life. The first one on the list is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've read that, yeah.
I'm like halfway through it.
Nope.
Is it worth the hype?
No.
It's a quick read. I'll say that.
I'm going to guess Amy has read this next one. Gray by E.L. James.
I didn't get past the
Right.
chapter that we read.
Right. We're going to go into movies soon, so I think as a precursor to that we should just say right now that 2015 was the year that gave us, 50 Shades of Grey the movie and Magic Mike XXL. So
There's no question as to which was better, by the way.
Yeah. No.
right. So we all have that to be thankful for this year. Let's see. Harper Lee's Go Set a Watchman. Have any of you got a chance to get to that one yet?
Nope.
I feel like authors and writers in particular are pretty sensitive to this book, especially after all the information leaked that it felt like the publisher kind of held her hostage to make her or not the publisher, that's not necessarily fair, finances held her hostage, like she needed money and they kind of dug around and tried to find it, but we can all kind of imagine maybe publisher had something to do with spurring her on to get this out there, but so I will read it. I'm such a fan of To Kill a Mockingbird, and she's one of the living legends of our time, as far as authors go. And so, seriously, how many authors do we know that have written one book and that's their life? That's what they've done. That doesn't happen very often in the modern age. There aren't many of those people around anymore. That's for one. It's not how we consume media, right? We all one thing is not good enough for us anymore. You look at George R.R. Martin with the Game of Thrones series. People are literally threatening his life because he hasn't published book 9 in that series or whatever it is, because they can't get them fast enough. So. 6, right. I am actually a fan of the series. I'm a huge fan, but I've lost track. I don't pay attention to the number. I just read them as they come. But So, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Anybody read that one?
Mm-mm.
No.
Pretty cover. It's got the Eiffel Tower and like some little fun stuff on the front. Memory Man by David Baldacci.
Nope.
I've seen this one. Like it's all over Barnes and Noble and places. Lee Child, Make Me, a Jack Reacher novel.
No,
Has
but I love
anybody read
him.
any of the Jack Reacher novels?
Nope.
No.
Yes, I love Jack Reacher.
Well, this is the new one. Have you? So how many? You seem to know numbers, Becca. How many? How many of these are there? How many Jack Reacher novels are there in this damn
I don't
series?
know, but there's a lot because he's been putting them out since. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I should ask Guy about this. I have a friend who's just obsessed with Lee Child. But there's a lot. I mean, I've read 4, and I haven't read half of what he's read. You know. But
Okay,
there's
this
a
next
lot.
one. Can we just all agree before I even read it that you're not surprised by the title? John Grisham, Rogue Lawyer, isn't it?
Ugh,
Like what?
shocker.
Right, I know.
I'm
Like
so
rogue lawyer,
surprised.
bad lawyer, lawyer.
Yeah.
I feel like
Hey, it's working
Red
for
one,
him.
it is.
blue
It is.
lawyer,
He's
green
found.
lawyer.
He's found a pattern. This is one. The next one's one I definitely want to read because I'm a little scared because it's a new author. But The Girl in the Spider's Web. It's the next Dragon Tattoo book, but not written by the original dude.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the original dude's guy is dead.
Oh, Steve Larson.
Right. Yeah. Stieg Larsson's dead. Could not
Yeah.
write this one, unfortunately.
I started reading that. It's good. I think if you've read them, if you've read the other books, obviously the main character, the female main character, is the same. It does actually feel like his story. The voice is different, obviously, but it feels like a story
Right.
that it just feels like it picks right up.
Well, honestly, I think it has a chance to be better because Stieg Larsson's like, those were not like just these smoothly polished, like well-written books. Like those are not like they're dense and there's lots of like as a person, if you study a lot of craft or whatever, you're gonna pick things up pretty fast in those books and be like, wow, this is not like these are things. I don't think they're quite like Twilight level where like you're just like, oh God, like what did they have an editor for this? They're more like they're just things like they're things that he kind of goes on and on about stuff, certain things, but it's
Mm-hmm.
the fact that character that he created, Elizabeth Salander, she's so engaging. You
She's
have
so memorable.
you have to read those books like because of her. Like you just keep reading until her chapter comes up because you don't have no idea what she's gonna do.
Gwen Kelso on Twitter said she's really excited to read The Girl in the Spider's Web. So we'll have to have a report at some point and find
Right.
out if the people who read it feel like it's really sound. Because I haven't got to the end to see yet if I feel like it's really her book, But so we'll see.
So book number 9 on Amazon's top 10 list, Dead Wake by Eric Larson. It's The Last Coming of the Lusitania is the name of the title of the book. That's interesting. This is when you know you're big time. Is Eric's name is way bigger than the title of the book. He's big time. Unlike Angela Marston's Silent Scream, has anybody read that? It's
No.
a D.I. Kim Stone novel. This actually sounds like a pretty good series. First book in the British author Angela Marston's Detective Inspector Kim Stone series, Silent Scream, details killing spree that lasts decades. Of course, Stone has her own demons, which she must confront before. I like this because it seems like kind of a hard-boiled tale, and it's a female protagonist, like a female detective or whatever. So, I think
It
that
sounds a lot like Tana French, except instead of being Irish, it's British. But it sounds cool. I'll read that.
So let's transition to movies this year. First of all, Poppy, what's the one movie you saw this year that just stuck with you? Like, it doesn't even have to be the best movie, but just what's the one you're just like?
I have to pick one.
We'll start with one or a couple.
I mean, okay, my underdog favorite, I guess. Like a movie that I went in expecting to like, but didn't know I would like it as much as I liked it, is The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I have seen some of the TV show. I grew up watching by everything. So I remember the TV show because my dad watched it as a kid, and then he would watch it with reruns with me. So I saw the movie and loved it. It's a good reboot, and it's funny. It's Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer and uh, great women whose names I can't remember off the top of my head because I didn't write any of this stuff down. And it's just funny and 60s spy movie reboot.
That's awesome. So I
Nice.
love that you pulled that one out because that's a movie that just got destroyed by critics. Like
Oh my God. Yeah,
they did
they
not
don't
like
know what
it.
they're talking about, obviously.
Right. And I feel like that extends tremendously to fiction as well, to
It's
books.
just, I mean, it's just fun. It's not like changing the game. It's
Right.
not super highbrow or intelligent. It's very innuendo. I mean, every other bit of dialogue is innuendo, so it's pretty funny if you catch it. Um, but it's fun and it's good actors and the villain is it's a female villain and she just sort of outsmarts everybody and then another woman is like a double agent, triple agent. So it's pretty fun because the guys kind of wander around thinking they're hot shit.
Right.
And then they just get duped by women and Hugh Grant. So what's not to love about that?
No, it actually sounds amazing. Like you should have pitched this damn movie to me because like I would have
No,
watched it.
okay, I have a friend of mine and I are just like really obsessed with The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and we both saw it when it was in theaters and we just keep trying to get everybody to watch it. It's like we want the sequel, so we really need the DVD to do well. So everyone please go watch The Man from
It's gonna be one of those movies.
U.N.C.L.E.
It's gonna be made for TV. They're gonna change all the actors. It's gonna be terrible.
That would be horrible. But the
I know.
TV show is just like the TV show is as funny. So like if you're ever really bored and like want to watch like a pretty kitschy TV show from the 60s, it's a good one.
All right, Becca, beat that. What's that? I want you to bring the underdog out here. Like, was it the Peanuts movie? Was that your favorite? Tell us about. Sell me on
It's
that
so
damn
much
thing. Like Bobby just sold me on whatever
on
it
the
was.
book.
On the
Yeah. No, I literally saw one movie in the theater in 2015. One.
It doesn't have to
And
be a theater movie. Like it could be even like a Lifetime movie. I don't care.
well, but I
It's
mostly a Lifetime movie. My Lifetime movie
Did I just insult you unknowingly? I think
no.
we know you just hang
Um,
out eating fudge and watching Lifetime. No lie.
yes, I know, right? No, I actually really love to watch TV series because that's kind of how my brain works. But the movie that I saw, I actually really adored, and somebody mentioned it on Twitter. I think it was Roe, the author, that said she liked Cinderella, and I went and saw Cinderella, the live action, in the theater, and it was amazing. I mean, I am not a huge fan of just in general like fairy tales that are what's the word, like literally retold. Like it's still the same fairy tale, but it's just retold a little bit, you know. I'm on a fairy tale theme tonight, but Cinderella, the live action, was incredible. The acting was good. The cinematography was incredible. They changed the story enough that it was not recognizable. Like I did not expect things that I knew were gonna, like you kind of think you know the story, but it totally surprised me. And the like Rose said, this message of kindness, which like being kind to people, I just felt like it was an appropriate movie for this year to be the movie of the year. Was to learn, for us to learn how to be kind to people. I do love that message. So, but it was a really good movie.
I think I have to shout out for ST that she would agree with you if she were here tonight. ST Bendy is also obsessed and loves the message, which I agree with. It's a sweet one.
No, it was totally exciting. We didn't watch it till it came out on Blu-ray, but we wanted to see it in the theater, just couldn't. But yeah, like I agree. I think especially for the Disney live actions, they kind of put out some iffy ones.
Hmm.
And so, because I wasn't really that into Maleficent, like I thought that they kind of handled that poorly.
Yeah.
And and for Disney, this is like their new thing. Like this is their new cash cow. They're trying to they're trying to make a cash cow anyways. They're doing all these like there's going to be Little Mermaid soon, Beauty
I
and the
think it's
Beast.
going to
Little
work.
Mermaid,
Beauty and the
Beauty and the
Beast with Emma
Beast,
Watson. Oh my
with
God,
Emma
I'm so
Watson.
If they will handle it like Cinderella, because like that was my problem with Maleficent is they changed the storyline so much, like
Yeah.
that I was like, this is not anything like whatever I saw, and so I really wasn't into it. But Cinderella I love because it held that same spirit of the cartoon like when you watched it. So I agree. I think if they do Beauty and the Beast, like this is it. Like I think Cinderella finally they nailed it. I think they finally got the formula down. Great
Yeah.
actors and actresses, all that in Cinderella as well. I feel like we're gonna have to do TV series separate because I know Poppy's probably got something like for that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to wrap it. Amy, what about you? Best movie? Like what's something that
I'm
stuck with you?
totally going to go with Magic Mike too.
Right? X X X X X.
You know,
XXXXL.
you know what? Like, I spent the first 2 minutes, like, totally embarrassed at the flashback for Flashdance, like, cringing that, like, they went there. And then you're like, oh my God, like, Channing Tatum can dance his you-know-what off and forget it. I'm just going to totally throw my sense of irony out the window and sit back and like this. And
Also, we create movies like that for men all the time. So the fact that they
Totally.
went full on and making a movie like that for women, where women can be like, embrace the fact that we like viewing men as sexual objects as much as men like viewing women as sexual objects, is super good. Like, I am behind that movement.
Well, for me, it was like a sports movie, right? I mean, it was like all the movie, and I'm a sucker for sports movies. My husband, always laughs at me, but it's really funny to see the underdog team goes in for one last game, and they hit every note of that so well. And then there's the eye candy, and then there's like insane dancing. So, and it was funny. Like, I really went in there like just kind of dragged with my friends, taking a day off work, expecting to sort of cringe through it like I did the first one, which I guess I saw the first one, so I'm not admitting too much. But the first one I was like, oh my God, and this one I just was like, fine, I'll come with you guys. And I walked out like, I loved it. It was such a fun movie to watch. And I think it does get kind of like an instant side eye because of the subject matter, and it's a stripper movie, but it was really fun.
Right. With heart. Like it's a stripper movie with a heart of gold. What can we call it? That?
Isn't that goes without saying?
Is that hooker with a heart of gold? Or
Yeah. I mean, that's like the hashtag for all stripper movies. You don't even need to explain that.
Right. Showgirls.
Yep.
Stripper movie with a heart of gold. For me, so I have two classifications. So I think the movie that I expected to be amazing and it was amazing was The Martian.
That's my serious one too. Although it was nominated as a comedy in the Golden Globes. Did anybody see that today?
Really?
No.
Yes.
For real? As a comedy? I mean, it was funny. Like, I mean, I laughed out loud at many parts of it.
I know. But yes, it was nominated as a comedy, and I'm like, on what planet? Like, really? Because
Mars.
No. Yeah, obviously. But I agree with you. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, and that was one like I just knew, and especially when they got Matt Damon casted in it and just the previews, you knew it was going to be like raise the hair on the back of your neck kind of good, and it was that good. A movie that I saw that I was not expecting to be very good, and it was Ant-Man. Like, I was entertained as all hell with that. Paul Rudd as a superhero was not like I was like, but after Guardians of the Galaxy and they had what's his name, it's Lee, and he was totally great
he was
Chris
good.
Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yeah, like he's totally great.
That's who it was. Yeah.
I mean, after you see him in Parks and Rec, you're like, there's no way this guy's pulling off abs and like a superhero. But
he pulled.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, he did great. Same thing with Paul Rudd and Ant-Man. Like it was really unexpectedly. It worked as like a heist movie and it worked as like a superhero movie. So I thought that was good.
I feel like we have to give sort of a nod to the fact that next week is the best movie of 2015.
Yes, I hear it.
I mean, let's just be honest, right? Like, that's going to be the best movie of 2015. Yeah.
I think you
had to do that.
You might be right about it. We'll see. Expectations could not be higher for this movie, so
I know, right?
It's scary. Like it scares me because I'm a huge fan, so it scares me. But yeah, another movies as far as the two movies I saw that were a little bit of a letdown because again similar theme. My expectations were that high. Avengers: Age of Ultron. I liked it. I just didn't. I didn't love it as much as I love Avengers, like the first one. And then the other one was Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, just
fun,
Was it not
but
good?
It was fun,
fine.
but it was like it was totally a cash in, like just totally a cash in. Like they just took
Mm.
basically regurgitated the first movie and redid it. So here are, I'm sure you guys could probably guess most of these, but here are the 10 top grossing movies of 2015. Jurassic World,
Yes.
number one. Avengers: Age of Ultron, number two. And this is one. Bethany Robinson on Twitter mentioned this movie. It's one of the two movies she saw this year, which it was a good one. Inside Out is number three.
I loved Inside Out. It's
Yeah.
so good. It's like everything about it is so good.
Furious 7
Yeah.
was number 4. American. What was that laugh? Who's that?
I just really love the Fast and the Furious movies. I'm all in for that franchise.
I like the
And
first
it was
two.
not. It was actually good.
Oh, it was so
Like,
good. I
It
cried
was
like
good.
a baby every time Paul Walker was on the screen.
Yeah.
In the end, I have to say, I'm not going to give anything away in case you haven't seen it, but the end was
Oh.
so well handled.
It was perfect. I mean, I went in with
It
a
was
lot of
so good.
expectations for it, and the end was better than I thought it could have been.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
they did
I
it
swear, it was.
super well.
Yeah, I loved it.
Hmm.
Like I said, I watched the first two, and I really liked them because those. I mean, God, those movies started what?
Oh,
04? Is that right? Or
No,
later,
in the
earlier than that?
early
earlier than
2000s,
that.
yeah.
Oh, one.
God, but I've watched the first two. I dug them, and then they did like that weird Tokyo Drift thing or whatever it was.
Oh, that comes back into play at the beginning of 7.
But like
Mhm.
they lost me a little bit there. But those are ones I will definitely go back and watch.
5 is maybe the best,
So here's
or
a movie
6.
that surprised me in the top 10 grossing, American Sniper. And it doesn't surprise me that, like,
Oh.
well, it's surprising to me this because I think it's going to get a lot of Oscar nods. That's not
Mhm.
typical when you
Mhm.
see. I think The Martian will as well, and it's also in the top 10. I think
Oh,
both
good.
those movies will likely get some Oscar nods. But that's unusual. Like, usually top 10 grossing movies are not where your Oscars come from. But
Mhm.
Minions is number 6, Hunger Games number 7, Hunger Games Part 2 number 7, The Martian number 8, Cinderella 9, and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation 10. Those are your
That's
top 10.
that's a sleeper movie.
Right?
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that I agree that is a sleeper movie because like you look at something like Spectre didn't crack the top 10, the latest
Yeah,
James
who
Bond.
is still going to Mission
International?
Impossible
Right.
movies?
Like, is this
I
international?
know.
Now, granted, Mission Impossible's been it released in July and Spectre
Yeah.
released in November, but Hunger Games also released like late November and it's already 7 on this list. So
Yeah.
now, granted, it's Hunger Games, it's the juggernaut, but James Bond's a pretty big like franchise. Like that's a pretty big deal. So I was a little shocked to see
Yeah, which
that.
probably means though that it makes more money over time.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm wondering about, if it was global or here.
Mm.
And how this seems like cheating to me, but Rocky Horror Picture Show is like 21. Like what?
Oh my God! Wait a minute.
Huh.
Was there a remake that I didn't know about? What the
We
hell?
we just went 2 weeks ago. Like, me and a group of my friends went. There's a local showing because I kind of live in a college town, and I mean, there were costumes. We were definitely the oldest people there, but it was really fun. And the movie, it still does kind of hold up. Like, it's totally still entertaining. And the situation, unfortunately, the crowd situation has grown so dramatically because most of the people that were there, like, their experiences with the movie are online, and there's so much extra content that, like, everybody knows now. It's not just like either the regulars know a few extra lines or there's a few extra lines. There's stuff for like every single line and every single minute. So it was kind of amusing, but it was also like, whoa, like, this is all coming from people that have only seen this in a theater like twice. And I was kind of like, it's great to see anything in entertainment last that long and capture that much input from audiences all over the planet of every age. But it was really interesting to see that change and how the digital generation has sort of brought that constant contact to that property.
Mm.
All right, so we have a little over 10 minutes left, so we got to get to music at some point because we have a couple people on this panel that are
Can I
just
do a
dying.
quick TV shout out?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Please do.
TV.
Yeah, we got to do
Just
some TV.
really fast because I swear this is the best undiscovered television show ever. And I tweet at the BBC all the time when it's on in Britain, and I'm like, please, God, move faster. Like, we need this. But there's this show. It's on Welsh TV on, and I watch it on Netflix. It's called Hinterland. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I
Hinter.
I
haven't.
swear to you,
No.
it is the best. And I love TV. Like, I'm a TV aficionado.
Is that
It
one word, like
is
Hinter, like Hinter land, or what is that?
Hinter land, all one word, and it's like the surprising, super duper small town, just crazy Welsh. If you know anything about Wales, you will absolutely love this show. And if you've ever lived in a small town or like lived out in the middle of nowhere, you so get this. And it is so well done. The acting is amazing. And it's really kind of dark. Like it's kind of a dark detective police procedural kind of a show. But it's so good. And I need for everyone to watch it so that
So
they will
it's a
continue
police
making seasons of it.
it's a police procedural. So is it dark like in what's the one on HBO? True Detective? Like is it that dark or is it
Yes, yes.
okay? Then I
Okay,
would
If,
love it.
if
excellent.
you like True Detective, you will like Hinterland. You
Oh,
will
damn.
love
I'm
See,
on it.
you gotta lead with that. You gotta lead with that. Like that's gotta be
I know,
that's
right?
your
I
tagline,
buried my
Becca.
lead.
You're an
You did.
author. That's your
Buried my lead.
tagline
So
right there.
go watch Hinterland and then tell me when you're watching it so we can all tweet at BBC Wales at the same time and say,
Okay.
will you freaking make season 3 and put season 2 on Netflix right now? Because
All
I
four of
can't
us.
watch season 1 any more times or
Great.
my whole family will
You watch
disown
The
me.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. I'll watch Hinterland, and
Yes, I will absolutely watch
then.
The Man from
Great.
Uncle.
My TV shout out, by the way, is The 100, and if you're not watching it,
Yeah.
you're making bad
Oh,
life
it's so
choices. I'm
good.
sorry.
It's so good.
It is
You're,
so good. And I'm going to do a shameless plug thing right now because my friend Holly and I are doing a podcast for season 3. So watch seasons 1 and 2 and then join us for season 3.
That's awesome.
Is your podcast on your Twitter feed?
It will be, yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna produce it in January, when the show comes back. So we'll do a couple episodes to recap seasons 1 and 2, and then we will do an episode every week for season 3.
So to recap,
Awesome.
Poppy says if you're not watching the 100, it's the equivalent of driving in your car with no seatbelts. So if you want to take that risk, you just go right ahead.
You should.
Amy, what about you? Have you had time for TV this year? Have you watched
Yeah,
any?
there's one show that I've been kind of obsessed with, which is so out of the ordinary for me because I don't generally watch reality TV at all, but I love the Alaskan Bush People.
Oh.
I feel like this is the Man from Uncle.
I
TV.
swear to God.
No, that show is addicting.
It's a show about this family of 9 that live in like the middle of nowhere in Alaska, and they have a really like desperate need for freedom. They've like given up every comfort on the planet for it.
Except that reality TV show.
Oh yeah, except yeah, exactly. And we don't quite understand like how they're still making the storylines. Like they have no money because obviously this is like season 3, and you have to suspend your disbelief. But
Yeah.
I don't really care because I do suspend my it's not real, it's whatever. But the family is they're sort of charming in the way that they all work together, and they're all so quirky. And unlike a lot of other reality TV shows that just kind of give very extreme people platforms to preach things that can be kind of mean. I don't know. Like everybody's entitled to their beliefs, whatever, but this family, they're not looking to like push anything negative on anybody. It's all very positive, and they're really fun. And I feel like for my kids, like seeing this family work together and seeing them like work so hard for every little thing that they have, it's kind of like a good example. And I don't know, it's just really fun. I really like it. And I don't know, we've been watching like Little House on the Prairie too, like the box set. So this to me is at least it's a little bit more fun. And I also we just started watching the Man in the High Castle.
Oh god, those
Oh my
the
God.
And
for that was amazing. I haven't got to see the series.
I
I
couldn't sleep for a week.
Yes.
Because you're like, we're living this right now. Like this
I'm
is
like
happening.
so freaked out. So yeah. But it's good, like in that way that like there are certain shows like Homeland that makes your pulse race, or at least the first few seasons, or like Fringe and Jericho. There's like a few shows that you can't watch because they get you like so tense, you have to watch them. And I think this is going to be a new one of those for me.
I feel like TV night at your house would be the most interesting like game of Russian roulette ever. You're like, all right, kids, tonight we're watching either Little House on the Prairie, Alaskan Bush People,
or The Man in High Castle.
Do you have like a spinner? Do you have like a spinner wheel, like of just random? Like,
it's not on the kid list, but Little House on the Prairie and Alaskan Bush People are amazingly similar.
Oh, looks like it's Columbo tonight, kids. Little House on the Prairie, Jesus. It's okay. I mean, my mom and dad watched the Waltons. Like,
oh my
they
God,
love the Waltons. And I'll be honest, I stayed with them a lot last Christmas holiday. It's pretty entertaining. Like, it's these are values you just don't get anymore.
My kids love the books, but the TV shows have been like edited so everyone is it's so scary and intense and horrible. Like every single Little House is like a very special episode that like I don't know. If you're looking for weird drama,
right?
That'll do it for you.
Well, my TV for this year, if you haven't seen Daredevil, we can't really talk. Like, we can't communicate. Daredevil is amazing.
Oh my God.
It's
so
amazing.
So the fight scene
really
in that second episode is maybe the best fight scene on television in the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
There are millions of fight scenes in this show. There's so much punch fighting. It's like a Ronda Rousey fight. Like, it's crazy. Like, everybody's like punching. There's lots of punch fighting. Like, that's what I call it. I don't even know if that's the right thing. Punch fighting.
Also, EJ, you and I cannot be on a chat together about TV and not mention House of Cards.
Yeah, House of Cards is insane. I feel like they pushed Frank into the presidency a little fast because he was much more entertaining.
They did.
Like this dubious, whatever. That's one of those series I felt like that they kind of had fleshed out. They're like, we're going to run 3 seasons or 4 seasons or whatever. I don't know that they ever expected to get as popular as it did, but
season 3 was the obvious transition season.
Yeah.
Spacey's amazing. Like, I would watch him like eat cereal in the morning. Like,
that's my ringtone. Frank Underwood's ringtone is my ringtone because that's how obsessed I am.
I feel like Frank Underwood, I feel like nice people. Like, he speaks to nice people because we kind of all wish we were that ruthless at some point in our life. Like, we think life would be a little easier for us if we were that ruthless. And we're not, and we can't do it. We can't push people in front of trains, even though we might want to. And so I didn't say that.
Frowned upon.
Right. Like first season right there.
But yes, Daredevil, fantastic. Just a wonderful, wonderful show. I'm addicted to all like comic booky things. Like,
I'm watching Jessica Jones right now and really liking it.
Have you seen Jessica Jones?
Yeah,
we're just gonna bring that up.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm liking it.
I'm only a few episodes in. I'm like three episodes in. But,
I love David Tennant as the villain.
He's so good.
Flash.
I really thought I was gonna hate that because, of course, the Doctor. Yeah. But oh my God, he's so good, and he was good in Broadchurch. But
good in Broadchurch.
Oh, he was so good.
Speaking of coming of age stuff, like those are great examples. I think Jessica Jones is a great
one.
Jessica
Jones, yeah,
absolutely.
And then The Flash, that's another one I'm really addicted to, and it's a beautiful adult coming in. Like, all the main characters are kind of like these college age or just past college age kids, and it's lots of fun.
Cannot wait for
Arrow.
Arrow's great. I feel like Arrow's kind of slid downhill a little bit.
Yeah.
It's become more of a soap opera than.
She was just saying that she's obsessed with Arrow, and I was just talking about fandom and stuff like that because we were kind of mentioning that in the lead up, in the chat of thinking about fandom, and I love watching Twitter when the Dembos Twitter feed is on when people are watching Arrow. It is the most entertaining and cool thing I've ever seen. I never watch the episodes, but I watch Twitter, and I feel like I have just seen the whole episode. It's awesome.
I need to dial into that and watch with these people because I would have lots to comment about it. We've watched it every episode of Arrow. We still love it. We definitely love it. But again, it's one of those ones I feel like it slipped a little bit. Like, they kind of have outrun their narrative a little bit. But
yeah.
All right, so let's quickly get to music.
I love how you only let 3 minutes.
I know.
There you were 5. We started 2 minutes.
I do want to throw Of the Wilds on. I asked Twitter earlier what their favorite music was, and I gotta check some of these out. I'm a huge I just got into Spotify like the last few months, and it's changed my life. Like, because I absorb music. Like, I just go through lots of stuff. I have my favorites I'll re-listen to, but I love finding new stuff. But she says, comma ecliptic by Between the Buried and Me, and runner-ups in Times by Enslaved, Hand Cannot Erase by Steven Wilson. Those are a mouthful, but I'm going to check them out. And then Kat listed some of her favorite songs, which
I
I
want
think,
to hear. Yeah.
yeah, Shut Up and Dance, uh,
Okay.
by what's their names? I forget their name. The cheerleader song.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cheerleader. Have you guys heard the cheerleader
Oh,
song?
by
Yeah.
Omi.
Yeah. And then Fight
Mhm.
Song is one of her favorite. I'd say Fight Song
Great
is
with
gonna
fun.
have. It's gonna have to go up there as like one of the songs of 2015, whether you
Oh,
like
yeah.
it or hate it. Um,
I'm sort of amazed that like I always think of Kat as like bringing in stuff that I've never ever heard of before. So I
but she's
think I'm
totally, but she's totally into
yeah,
pop. She's into
that's
pop
total
pop
pop
music.
music. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't like it's a new layer to Kat. I wouldn't have expected
Right,
that.
because like if you ask Kat, like, what did you read lately? It's all this manga stuff.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
always look for her for like the outside things. So yay. I mean,
And
not yay, but like just interesting.
Danielle Lanes on Twitter said that also, just kind of catching up. She said her favorite movie of the year was Mad Max, and I wanted to give some love to Mad Max because that was one that came out of nowhere. Like people,
I think it's
like
going to get an Oscar nomination.
I think it probably
It
will.
should.
Charlize Theron was ridiculous in that. Just ridiculous. She's ridiculous in everything she does. When I saw Monster when she did that, I was like, how did you make the most like beautiful woman in the world like look like this? Like she did it. Like she transformed herself into this serial killer like craziness. And she was ugly outside and in. And like I said, I don't know how she did it for that movie, but I've been such a fan of hers ever since then. But that, and she's like 6'5" and blonde and beautiful. So
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I'm gonna say the nerdy music thing before you guys talk about the wonderful, great music that I just haven't listened to it, but I discovered this really crazy video this year of I don't know if you guys have seen the twerking stormtroopers video.
No,
I'm telling you, go watch it if you haven't seen it. This song in that video is now like my ringtone. I listen to it every morning before I write. It's
Excellent.
like this crazy song that these guys wrote specifically for the twerking stormtroopers video. And if you listen to the lyrics, it's all like about Star Wars. It's amazing. And I love this song, but that's like my one big song of the year is the twerking stormtroopers song.
That's amazing.
I'm telling you, I'll post the video. I'll post the link to the video so you guys don't have to go look it up
I'm doing
in the
it
chat.
right now. I just searched this. This is the kind of stuff my brother's like in love with. So
It's amazing. Because I have not listened to One Direction, so like I can't.
right.
That's my big music contribution.
I know. I always feel like I should say like I wasn't a One Direction fan until right up until Made in the AM. But Made in the AM is my favorite. I mean, my favorite album of the year, hands down.
Same.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean, followed very closely by Badlands by Halsey. So.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
But those are the two that like for 2 weeks after Made in the AM dropped, I don't think I listened to anything else. And I still listen to it like all the time. It's constantly playing. So it's good. And I say that as a person who has not listened to One Direction before. They like finally produced music that just hits on a lot of notes for me. So.
Did you go back to 4 then?
Oh, yeah. Well, and you can actually catch up on this, Amy, if you care, since we were talking about One Direction before we came on the air. But a friend of mine sent me the first 4 albums, and then I listened to them all in a work day and live tweeted every response to every song.
Oh, cool. I love that. I love live tweets.
So, yeah, I live tweeted a Poppy Listens to One Direction and my, like, reviews of all the albums, which were basically... Like, the first 3 are still kind of like, I like songs off of them.
Yeah.
I like about half of 4. No Control is still one of my favorite songs.
And that was like a total highlight of my year. That whole, no one whatever. There was a whole fan project to
Oh
get.
yeah, I know. Yeah, believe
To
me,
get
I've
noticed for
caught
that
up
song.
on
Yeah, yeah.
everything One Direction now.
But that was one of the highlights of my year because that was as like a person that's been on a few different sides of the industry, and I'm kind of the opposite. I've been a One Direction fan since 2000. I think I looked at like my first One Direction Tumblr the other day because I was curious, and it was from like March of 2012.
Beautiful.
But I have to say that that summer, we were traveling a lot, and I had Up All Night in the car, and it was like something that my kids could listen to, and it was actually like my dad had died that summer, and it was just one of those, how like certain music just kind of like goes back to like kind of a time in your life. It was like just this huge escape, and then you dropped into the fandom. But like the One Direction fandom is like an ongoing reality TV show. I mean, watching this band,
absolutely.
they started on X Factor. It's been like 24/7 media access for the past 5 years, and it is the drama between them, the media, and the fans is like better than fiction. For
Well,
sure.
and like I was telling you before the show, I studied sort of fandom and media in grad school. So the One Direction fandom and One Direct, like it just hits on everything I'm really nerdy about.
Yeah, yeah.
And stuff that I studied. So I mean, it was super easy for me to get absorbed. And then they also produced a record I really like, so
Yeah.
that's the perk.
So I feel like
that's kind of what happened to me in a weird way, and Poppy and I will continue this offline, but I wound up getting involved in like in a interactive ebook thing, and we were pitching all the music studios because I had a friend who thought that it would work really well for labels. And I was actually like studying the social media, like I was like, oh well, I happen to know a lot about this weird, small section of fandom and social media, and they just, I mean, if you look at like the top tweets of the year, like 5 of them were from One Direction. If you look at like top ships, I mean, just like everything. So anyway, so I sort of got dragged into that. Like I came for like the music and like the fluffy, and like stayed for the social media fascination, and now I'm like shackled.
Well, and I came for the other way. I mean, I had a friend who was sort of like, this is going to interest you because of what you study.
Yeah,
and then I also just happen to really, really love their new album. So.
Yeah, it's a great album. I mean, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, and there's like weird influences from like all kinds of music throughout history, and it's really fun, and it's not gonna.
So I asked Twitter like what draws adults to One Direction, like what is that?
Oh God.
But I think you kind of answered it. Like for both of you, I think there's definitely a sociological like curiosity about it. Like they're kind of the Beatles, and so you see that influence, and even if you like, it's kind of like a moth to a flame almost. Like if you're interested in those things, like if you're interested in why people become enamored with certain things, like I think that's why I started reading Harry Potter. Like it's not any magical like thing. I was just curious why everybody else was so crazy about it. And I had friends, like tons of friends, like even through adulthood, that refuse to read it because they just don't like to engage in anything that's popular. Like they don't.
Yes.
They feel like there's no worth in it, no value. Harry Potter changed me in that way. Like I learned a valuable lesson with those books because I was a little bit that way. And finally, I definitely have an attitude now. Like I read all the Twilight books. I'm not saying I loved them, but I read them all because I'm interested in YA fiction, and every kid I was working with read them. Like every girl I walked by had that book, and so I was like, I'm gonna read it and figure out like what the draw. And I enjoyed them. I think for that factor, like I really enjoy. I'm like, because I dissected them from that standpoint. Like I was just like, I really wasn't necessarily into the story as much, but like I began to understand, like I see why this appeals to such a broad demographic.
Well, and I think that's the kicker with stuff that is popular. Like if you give because I'm like that with a lot of stuff. If everybody else is doing it, like there's a really good chance that I don't really like violent stuff, so I can't I won't watch all the CSI shows, and people love them, and it's, you know, there's a lot of reasons when things become popular that you may or may not want to participate in them. But I agree with you. Like, I've spent enough time just like ignoring things because so many other people like them, and that wasn't like a way that I wanted to judge things. But um, you know, with certain things, like, you're just missing out.
Right.
Yeah.
When I feel like Jody Lynn said on Twitter, she said if it wasn't for One Direction, you know, there would be no After series by Anna Todd, which is a book series. And I feel like some of these cultural phenomena like this, like One Direction, like Harry Potter, like it spurs on a whole bunch of creative people
Yes.
to do
Yeah.
other things that are more creative than they would have done before. And I feel like just acknowledging the impact that they have sociologically, like on the culture,
Well,
even
and
is important.
yeah, I mean, and I'm a person who comes at everything first as a fan. I
Hmm.
mean, and I started writing Harry Potter fan fiction. I was a huge Harry Potter fan, and I've always been involved in fandom. And so when I went to grad school, I mean, that's what I studied. I mean, I am a fan. I love fandom. I participate in fandom, and I absolutely buy into things that I think are awesome and popular, and whether their fandom is sort of a niche like some things or super, you know, mega international worldwide like One Direction is, it's you can't ignore that it has a major impact, and you don't
It
have
just
to like it and you don't have to participate in it like Amy said, but it's super interesting.
Well, and it
Oh,
touches a lot of people. And the one thing that I will
yep.
say about One Direction and why it keeps coming up, it came up so many times in NA Lit Chat. And what I will say about it tonight as it relates to Next Lit Chat is it is such a coming of age story. Like, if you look at the arc of like the band and their audience,
Absolutely.
it's such a sweet spot. Like, all the songs, like all the drama, all the reactions are exactly what we write about. And for me at least, like, their music really, you know, like their music definitely takes me to like a good place to write about that age and to that like sense of wonder and discovery. And I mean, that sounds really corny, but I'm older than they are by a lot. Like, I'm way too old to like a boy band in the way that like they market for people to like them. Um,
Well, and
and you
their most
know,
recent album is, you know, if you listen to all of them, which then I did in one day, uh, their most recent album is definitely their most mature, just not only in content, but also in sound and what they were able to produce and the impact that and the influence they had on, you know, the music that was on there, and also in its throwback. It's got a lot of throwbacks to the 60s and 70s, and
yeah.
if you listen to it, you'll recognize um, a lot of things. They paraphrase a lot of music from older artists, which is, you know, it's an interesting and it's a creative thing, and it's, I mean, it's kind of just what we do when we create art. You know,
Yeah.
we bring in
I think
influences and see.
a lot of the phenomenon too is that they acknowledge their fandom. Like they acknowledge and embrace it. Like I don't know if you guys have seen the TV show Cult. Have you guys seen that?
I have
No,
it.
Cult?
but I will.
Yep.
Really interesting concept. I know, right?
Put that in the little
Interesting
house
concept
rotation, Amy.
because
What?
basically they acknowledge on this TV show that your fandom has an impact on the art that you create. And when you involve your fandom in the creation of the show, the way that I feel like One Direction does that for this day and age, they're involving their people actively all the time in their platform, and they're making the fans feel like they have an impact on them and on their lives. And that TV show Cult just reminds me of this because it's like that's what people want to feel. That's why they get into these social media phenomenon or like the cultural phenomenon is like they want to feel like they're a part of something. They want to
Yeah.
feel like they have like they matter,
Well,
like to
and
people who matter.
you also get into a slippery slope though, and you see it with One Direction a lot of when things go really, really well, you know, it's the fans and it's good. I mean, absolutely, you should thank your fans for your success, 100%. But when things go bad, there's also this blowback of
Yeah.
blaming the fans when really, I mean, yeah, but also like there are professionals who know exactly how everything is being told, the stories that are being weaved. what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, I love One Direction, but they're also media trained. Let's be real.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
nothing is that organic. But I agree with
Nothing
you,
is that
Becca.
organic. Yep.
That's how I felt about. Although I do think it was at the beginning, and that's why it's really interesting.
yeah.
Well, anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But Becca, what I was going to say, like we did a thing for NA Alley. I wrote a thing for Gray, and I kind of said the same thing about E.L. James, which was like, when she wrote 50 Shades before it was 50 Shades and it was Master of the Universe, like it was written with so much passionate fan involvement. She was getting instant feedback every single week from thousands and thousands of people. And even if she technically wasn't taking that into consideration, like it sort of obviously influences you. And then she did take it into consideration when she released Gray. And I just think that,
Gray, yep.
I love that about her. Like, I love that, she wanted to do something that her fans wanted. And I mean, she has the rest of her life to come up with whatever crazy nonsense she wants to write about next, or use a pen name, or do whatever she's going to do. But, she wasn't too proud to be like, wow, everybody wants this, and I'm going to do it because I love you guys, and it's going to make everybody happy, and I'm going to enjoy it too. And I mean, yes, maybe it impacted things, and you could argue that she should have gone and done something completely separate, but I love that about her. And I love projects that take into consideration what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Whether or not you are a consumer of that project, that kind of project is awesome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Speaking of like forces of nature in music, Ro, the author, mentioned Adele, and
Yes.
here's the thing, like I think, yeah, you're gonna look back on 2015 and be like, yeah, Adele ruled 2015. She just dropped her album like 3 weeks ago, and we're about to the end of the year. But just the fact that she had an album coming out this year, I think, is going to be a landmark because it's already
Mhm.
broken all these sales records and whatever. Um, it's fascinating, like that whole and look, just because you're popular doesn't mean you're a bad musician or any of those things. Like that's
Mhm.
ridiculous. Like uh, she can sing the phone book, like it'd be fine. And so like it's just fun. Like I think music's such a I think movies and books they need a little bit books particularly need a little more time to gestate to get popular, of course, unless they're sequels, of something that's wildly popular. Um, like by the time the seventh, Harry Potter book came out, like it was done. Like that honestly that to me that will always go down in my memory as crazy, just because people acted about that book like they act about like these bands or a big movie coming out, like the new Star Wars
I mean, I
movie.
was at the
I
midnight
I
release.
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
I've never seen that like with the book. I don't know if we'll ever see that with the book again.
I mean,
Like
I remember the first midnight release for Harry Potter because it became that popular, and
It
we
was
were
like
Yep.
all
right, but does
so
that
book
do you
four.
not think
yeah, it was book
back on
four.
that and are a little staggered because you're like, holy shit, they did that for a book. Like we're a culture that people think they don't care about books anymore, like or read long form fiction anymore. And like in our lifetime, we can remember like people lining up at midnight to get these books, and they would read them. My wife
I mean, and
read
I
the
did that.
first
I
like
did that for Breaking Dawn too. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh
I
yeah.
went to Twilight
Yeah,
Zone
me
girl.
too.
right,
Yep. Twilight was like that.
Yep.
right. It's fascinating. We're gonna have another chat sometime about fandom, and Poppy, I hope you'll come back and join us
Oh,
for that because
absolutely.
like this is just a fascinating fact. But we got to get off here. We're already 15 minutes in past our time. But uh, I want to thank our guest, Poppy. Thank you for being here. You're
Thanks for having
awesome.
me.
Uh, your fandom shines through, even though you study it. It's great. Becca, once again, it's great having you back on air, and we're gonna have Becca on more and more in 2016. We hope if she's agreeable to it.
Yeah. As long as I can talk about twerking stormtroopers, I'm fine.
Right. As
Please
long
bring them
you,
up
you
every
you keep
chat.
pulling those gems out. You're welcome here anytime. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Amy Evans, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank
Hello.
you.
No, there she is. I was
Hey,
like, I think we lost her.
hey.
There
I
she
was
is.
like, thank you.
Right. You be grateful for being here.
I
This
just
is our
said thank
last
you.
chat.
Oh, are we on delay? This is crazy.
Right? No, you did. I was giving you a
Okay.
hard time. This is our last chat of 2015 officially. Next week is Star Wars release day, and about half of the people we used to help or more are going to be busy. So, um, everybody have a great, rest of your holiday season. A happy New Year. We love you guys. We'll keep trying to do fun stuff in 2016. Most importantly, everybody just keep writing, and we'll do good things. But I'm EJ Wesley, and we are signing off for next Lit Chat. Good night.